This trial means a lot to me and to so many of the other women that have come forward, called the silence breakers in Weinstein's case. And it means a lot, and it's scary. This is a weird place to find yourself in life. It's like the Twilight Zone, and you just have to hang on. And so it's just been an extraordinarily strange life that I've had to lead because, and only simply because I got raped.
And can you remind our viewers, in terms of the undermining, the discrediting of you, you claimed you were blacklisted. Can you just remind viewers what happened? It's quite startling, the operation that you say went on.
And that's the case I have against Weinstein and his co-conspirator lawyers and a company called Black Cube, which is an intelligence firm. And they did some very dastardly things that were just so out of sight, following me, hacking me. 125 pages of my book, Brave, was stolen before publication. They were trying to shut me down behind the scenes. They were trying to shut me down in public by hiring fake protesters to harass me at book signings. They did every single thing they could do to try to drive me to the mental edge, and they did.
And what personal toll did that take on you?
Honestly, there were times, and there still are times, it was only last week that I was crying and thinking, what if I'm living in an inverted reality and they did actually succeed in driving me crazy? I mean, you start thinking these insane thoughts. You're like, what if reality is different than I actually think it is? Because so much of my reality, I mean, they installed a fake women's rights activist to befriend me and secretly record me, for months and meet with me for months, pretending she was a friend. It was just the craziest, most intense hiring public relations firms to trash me for the last 20 years, and very much especially in the last 3 on overdrive. It's done a tremendous damage to my reputation, most especially in America, I've noticed. People here are a lot more confused about what to make of me because I've been painted in the press to be imbalanced. And I would put forth that anybody who had the amount of stress that I had on me would occasionally short circuit. Trauma affects us all in weird ways. And sometimes as a trauma victim, yes, in the public eye, I might short circuit a little bit. That should be normal in this case.
And now the pendulum has swung, for the moment anyway. He's on trial. We've seen him walking in with his walking frame, looking frail. I mean, to us, he looks reduced, diminished. I wondered how he looks to you.
I just think he's a very bad actor, and you would think he'd pick up better acting tips along the way from all the people he worked with.
In terms of the walking frame?
In terms of the walking frame, in terms of the, he's trying to diminish how big he is really ultimately what he's trying to do. He's a very big man, height and width, and they're trying to reduce how scary he looks.
The eyes of the world are on this trial. What will the outcome mean for the Me Too movement?
I think if he does not go to jail, we thank God that there is another trial coming up in Los Angeles, so he'll be tied up in court for a very long time at least. If he does not go to jail, it will be, I don't think it's a setback, because this is more of a cultural reset and revolution in that way versus like a traditional movement where you see people marching and, doing all that kind of stuff, or having a central body that, runs a movement. This isn't really like that. This was like, let's all wake up a little bit to the fact that we all know this is happening to boys and girls all across the world. So no matter what, we will keep fighting, and I will keep fighting until there's some justice, and not just for us, but for the world that gets hurt, because it's time to stop that.
And of course, Me Too wasn't just initially about Weinstein. It was about Hollywood more generally, about it being complicit in what he was doing. Has enough changed?
Well, I haven't, and most of my fellow silence breakers have not been hired in a very long time. I'm, pretty okay with it because I don't like them either, but the blacklisting is real. He didn't just rob people of, their body and soul. He took their careers and any hope they had, and there's no reason that a bully should get to do that.
Why do you think the blacklisting is going on now? I mean, is it that they're waiting to see the outcome of the trial? Is it because, too many people were complicit? What's your view on that?
there's just this code of fear and silence in Hollywood. There always has been. It really operates kind of like a cult. You're not ever supposed to tell anybody what happens there. And I did the big bad thing. I told.
So will that change? What needs to be done? And can it change ever, do you think?
It's a very kind of old-fashioned industry, as we see with, the nominations. And media has a hand in this too. How media covers sexual assault victims, how media covers women. You've seen this with Meghan Markle there on your own. It's really dire how women get treated in the media. It's really intense. And to have people in Hollywood that still believe the slanted things the media says when they know what the truth is pretty abominable. And I just hope they want to be better and step up.
And Me Too, of course, wasn't just about Hollywood. It was a much wider conversation. It prompted that much wider conversation. Where do you think that needs to go now?
I think the conversation needs to talk to men and break down and unpack a lot of stereotypes about masculinity. And so we can work on that from that side of it. It's not just about women, and it's not just women that get hurt.
And your career suffered, you say, as a result of what happened. You say you're still being blacklisted, but do you have projects on the go?
Mm-hmm. I do. I'm on page 70 of a rewrite of my screenplay Night Walk, which is a psychological thriller. I also have a project, an art project, and a visual project called Planet 9 that's coming out late spring that I'm really excited about. I had premiered some of it at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh in August, so I've been workshopping it. And I'm really excited just to embark on a new artistic career, and one that's not dependent on people that, in a town that's very much made up of sociopaths.
Rose McGowan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.